the sum amounts to nothing when you do nothing. Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday. We are already halfway through the week. But without further ado, let's get started on session 831. So we did not get 100. I should have waited a bit more to cancel my sleep tracking, but I had to get an early start of my day. I have something exciting. I mean, it's not huge, but exciting to me that I want to show you guys later during the Yap session. But let's see what shows up in Topalo. So yesterday for me, nothing I wanted. I found like 2 Ekans, a Haunter, and something else. But, oh, Krogunk. I needed that. So I'm happy today's looking a little better, and we have a new sleep style for Sableye. So that is looking good. Oh my gosh, and Paldean Wooper, it's like so blended in there that I couldn't see. But that is really good news. I for sure am going to invest some biscuits into the Krogunk and the Wooper. So I'm going to need to purchase some biscuits because I think I only have like 2 more Poke Biscuits. I might be using my Great Biscuits. Usually I hoard those, but you know, sometimes you gotta use what you have or else it's just gonna be sitting there. Oh, we got the 2-star sleep style. So we have completed the sleep style decks for Sableye, which is great because Sableye doesn't, I don't encounter Sableyes often. And I have 1 caught already, so I'm not going to use any biscuits to catch it. But oh my god, Krogunk is hungry. What should I do? I can use a bonus biscuit on the Wooper. It'll go 1 over, but that's fine for me. Oh, and it was a big hit. Well, doesn't that feel like a waste? Now let's use a Poke Biscuit on Krogunk. Oh, I actually have 5. I don't know why I thought I had 3. So that was a big hit because it was hungry. We are going to have to use 2 more Poke Biscuits on it. So this is going to be risky because after this biscuit, 50-50 chance it gets full. So let's see, is it going to get full or are we lucky? And are we going to catch... Oh, we are. Okay. I'm really hoping this is an oil farmer. Now, I know with my Magnezone, if it procs its skill, I don't have to fill up the entire pot space, but it's just that wasteful thought thinking of me where it's like, if it's there, I feel like it's a waste if I don't fully utilize it. You know what I mean? So I know that's just like a mental block for me. No one to blame but myself, but I think I would just rather get a Toxicroak. Let's do Paldean Wooper because I feel like more people will need cacao farmer and not so much oil. Because like me personally, I like to make the Clodsire eclairs on dessert weeks. But let's see what our luck is looking like. Paldean Wooper, it's a female. It is careful nature. Is it triple cacao? So close, but this is ABA. It is not triple cacao. But in terms of the stats, it's also ingredient finding down. That is quite devastating. Sub skills, skill level up M, skill trigger M, skill level up S, helping bonus, and research EXP bonus. So this would be great with the combination of the careful nature on a skill Pokemon. Ingredient finding down is great if it's skill based because every time the game rolls on what the help action would be, it's either going to be berries or the ingredient, and sometimes the ingredient is more than the berries. So if you lower that down, more likely for it to proc on a berry, and then the chance of additional help with the main skill chance up. But yeah, this would have been great on a skill Pokemon, but just not on an ingredient Pokemon like this, which is a shame, but that will happen sometimes. Now let's see our Toxicroak or Krogunk. It is a bold nature and it's also a girl squad right now. It's an ingredient finding Pokemon and it's double sausage. No. You know what's funny? I feel like every time I'm looking for a Krogunk, it's always double sausage, but I've yet to find a mono sausage Charmander. Or have I? I don't know. The one I'm using right now is sausage ginger, so I just haven't invested more candies into getting it to level 60. Right now it's doing a good job, but I feel like I want to kind of prioritize late game. I mean, who knows if I'm still going to be playing late game, but I feel like I am. If I've been playing for 2 years so far, it's been super consistent. But the sub skills are research EXP bonus, inventory up M, skill level up M, skill level up S, and inventory up L. So yeah, that is that, but you'll have catches like that in the game. Let's see what we shall make for breakfast. Oh, and it's also the Good Sleep Day event, so double drowsy power for everyone. We are going to make a ninja salad. So it's halfway through the week. I feel like once I get to a place where I have a good amount of ingredients, I will start swapping out, or a good amount of ingredients for the ninja curries. I will swap out Pokemon to farm some ingredients for the hidden power-up perk stew or whatever that long dish name is called. That is usually what I do. It's been a while since I've actually swapped out my ingredient team during the day for a berry finding team during the night. I feel like I stopped putting an active effort into doing that because I'm not really set on reaching any goals because I've already hit certain goals. I think on Taupe Hollow I already did M20 as well, so there will be no need to really focus on bumping up the strength as high as possible. And also, the lower the strength is, the more likely I'm hoping to encounter like the base evolutions, like Paldean Wooper and Krogunk and whatnot. So with that in mind, maybe I won't try to do the biggest meals as well, just to see how it works, keeping my score a little lower than I'm used to. But let's see what is, or actually I don't even know if that makes a difference, but let's see what we get in the daily lotto. It is an ingredient ticket. Okay, speaking of ingredient tickets, I myself need to hit up the grocery store later, and it's gotten to that point of the year where it's pretty cold and chilly, so I kind of dread going outside, but at the same time I know it's good for me because I get in fresh air, I get in some vitamin D, and just I'll walk outside out of my condo, which is great. But we are going to move on to the sleep research community, and we are doing something a little different today, so I'm gonna let you guys guess if you can guess right. So 3, 2, 1. Did you guess right? It is not a latte or a matcha, but the OGs will know that I like to make bone broth. So I decided yesterday I had time. I had to carve out a good chunk of time in my day to watch my pot while I simmer this bone broth for a very generous 8 hours, which is why I had to postpone the stream. So no stream yesterday, but I really wanted to get this done. It's been almost a year since I've last made a batch of bone broth for myself, and it's one of those things that I like to do because it's so nutrient rich, it's good for your body, good for your joints, and what a better form of self-love than to do something that is good for you. So if you don't know what to do for yourself today during the month of Men's Mental Health Awareness, I would suggest maybe doing something that is good for the soul, good for the body, something to treat yourself, like you have to treat yourself in a way that you would treat your best friend or someone that you would go out on a limb for. Like if ever you have a friend who's like, hey, I'm really sad, and you're that type of friend who always goes out of the way to show up, why don't you go out of the way to show up for yourself? So to that, cheers. Is just as good as I remember it to be. Now with the bone broth that I make, I use chicken feet. I use about a pound of chicken feet, and you add aromatics as you wish. Really, there's no right or wrong way when it comes to seasoning your chicken broth. The only thing I don't do though is I don't salt it, because I heard that if you add in the salt, it will last a shorter period of time in the fridge. So whenever I make my portion in the morning, that is when I adjust for flavor to my liking. And also, I like to warm it up over a stove as opposed to a microwave, also because I don't have a microwave right now. But when I heat it up over the stove, treat it like miso soup. If you ever made miso soup, don't bring it to a rolling boil, because you're going to disintegrate some of the nutrients. I mean, that's what I read, so that's what I do. I know that to be true with miso soup. If you're making miso soup, don't bring it to a boil. And that's what we did as well when I was working at a sushi kiosk for 5 years. So yeah, you don't want to harm any of that good bacteria that's supposed to reach your stomach and your gut. And I like to drink bone broth in the morning. I know some of you guys in the Discord are like me, where it's like you drink coffee in the morning and you're like, why do I got a tummy ache? But it's like you're drinking something so acidic. It's the first thing that hits your stomach. So, you know, naturally, you gotta feel some type of way. Your body's going to react to that. But bone broth is really good. Not only does it feel like a warm, soothing cup of a hug in the morning, but to sip on bone broth and it's like so comforting. It tastes so good. It's also really good for your stomach. So it's a great way to coat your stomach and just prime it for, you know, if you're gonna drink coffee later on as well. I really like it for the fact that it's healthy for the gut, but it's also packed in collagen, and collagen is a very important thing, especially once you reach 25. As a girl, your collagen production goes down, which is one thing I'm jealous about men. Your collagen production doesn't hit the same decrease as we do early on in life. For men, it's a bit prolonged, which I'm so jealous about. But for women, once you reach the age of 25, it goes down with the collagen production. So anything that I can do to help maintain and have my body hold on to whatever collagen that's left before it lets it go at its natural course, I will do whatever I need to, but in healthy ways, you know, like making bone broth, eating vitamin A, consuming collagen through foods, and working out as well. Good way to get the blood pumping all over the body. But what I wanted to talk about today was I realized after thinking about my other video when it came to the fact that I said in this society, unfortunately, there are many circumstances that had led men to not know how to show up for themselves and for their friends. So I thought, what better way than to maybe share some sentences or prompts that I like to use whenever I'm conversating with people, just to, you know, be more present and lean in a little more. I used to have this bad habit where when people would tell me a story, I thought I was helping them out in some way by being like, yeah, I can relate. One time that happened to me too, so I know how you feel. And now, while that isn't objectively a wrong thing, it does kind of take away from the person's moment of vulnerability and the moment that they're probably hoping for someone to just lean in and like hug them during that vulnerability. I feel like what I did kind of took the spotlight away, not in a malicious way, but in a way where I thought I was being helpful, when it probably would have been more helpful for them if I were to say the following sentences like, I'm really sorry that you're going through that, and if you're open to talking about it more, I will definitely be your soundboard. Or things like, you know what, I really hear you. Although I can't relate, I can see how much pain it's causing you, and that also makes me sad, and I just want to let you know that I'm there for you. You know, gentle nudges like that don't pry too much into it without making the person feel comfortable to open up at their pace. So it's extending the invitation, it's acknowledging the space that they had just opened up, but also putting no pressure on them to open up. Because sometimes if you're dealing with someone who is like people pleasing or has a hard time opening up and doesn't feel ready, maybe they're going to feel pressured, and then after that interaction, who knows, maybe they're going to spiral as well. But yeah, that's the thing with things. Everyone's so nuanced. You don't know where someone's mental health is either. So the only thing you can really do is be kind to other people. But when it comes to having that reflected back to yourself, I feel like that is where people have a hard time understanding what that looks like reflected back into themselves. So I showed you examples of, you know, how to be that person for your friends, and for any of the guys listening out there. Maybe check up on your friend, you know, be like, hey, it's been a minute, I just want to check up on you, like, how's life? And see whether or not, like, how that conversation takes you. Now, I know definitely at first though, it's weird because you're not used to talking like that. You might throw around terms about how like this and that it feels, but ask yourself, why is it that healthy things make you feel uncomfortable? Is it because you don't think you deserve it? Is it because it's new to you? Or is it because you just have never been shown what it's looked like? That the feeling that you're feeling is just something that you're mistaking as, wow, my body feels so at ease in this moment. You know what I mean? And that is kind of the feeling you want to be chasing because it's so calming to you. Now, how to reflect that back to yourself. There are so many ways. I think the most common thing guys tell each other is to hit the gym. I wouldn't say that is necessarily bad advice. It really depends on what the objective is. I'm all for like, hey, if you want to chase an aesthetic, go ahead and do that. But if you're doing it for like validation or some sort of like feeling of unworthiness that you have to prove to yourself or something, I might think that you want to dig a bit deeper into that and kind of ask yourself why it is you feel that way. But overall, working out is really great. As you may know, you get a rush of dopamine afterwards. It's good for the body, and maintaining small habits like this that are just healthy for you will thank you in the long run, because all the habits you establish for yourself, especially in your early 20s, are going to carry along into your 30s, into your 40s, into your 50s. And I feel like as you reach the age of 30, it's harder to make new routines because life just gets so busy, or you're just so used to certain things, or certain things have already been solidified in how you identify yourself, with your structure, with your personality. And it's just like learning a new language. It's so much more easier doing that when you're young as opposed to when you're older. So for those in your early 20s, take this time now, have a lot of fun, but also put the effort to establishing that foundation of good and healthy routines for yourself. Otherwise, I'm not saying it's impossible in your 30s. It's definitely possible. I can tell you, being 31, it just takes a lot more cautious effort. And I feel like a lot of the time, half the battle is showing up and putting effort. It's one thing to say you're going to do it, but half the battle it really is showing up for yourself and then committing and fully going through it. So yeah, working out is really great. I think probably easy for some, maybe not easy for others, because I do understand the gym anxiety. But if not working out, because I do get it, maybe like just taking a walk. Walking is so good. I feel like most of the time people are like, well, I don't like running, and walking is like, they think of it lower tier in some way in terms of physical fitness than running, and then they don't do it all together. But look, at the end of the day, the sum amounts to nothing when you do nothing. So a little bit of something is infinitely better than nothing. Walking, you can do it at your own pace. Don't set a goal. Just make sure like you walked outside, you got some fresh air, you enjoyed the scenery. I feel like finding a good path, having good music on, and just enjoying that moment with yourself outside. Maybe like, take a look around at things that you haven't really taken notice of before, and just, appreciate how beautiful life is when you get your head out of like all the stuff that you're going through in life. There's just so much beauty around you that is waiting to be seen, but sometimes you just get tunnel visioned in life that you don't have the mental capacity to appreciate it. So taking walks is great, running is great. I like to jump and skip rope. I don't like running. I do like walking on the treadmill, but I get a little bored. I feel like some of you guys could relate if you've done like treadmill stuff. But there's something so dynamic about jump rope that is fun, because once you get into like the fancy footwork and stuff, it kind of is like dancing but jumping, and then you have like good music that you're jumping to. It's really great. I got into that because there was a year when I first, like the several first years of my work, and I was having a lot of back pain, sitting at an office desk and stuff. So I saw a chiro, and she talked to me about like how skip roping is good for just the entire skeletal bone structure. So I looked into that and started doing it, and I had a lot of fun. Now it's been a while, and every time I get back into it, my calves burn the day after. So I will caution you on that. But yeah, it's very, very fun. So that's like physical activity stuff that you can do for yourself. In terms of things that will enrich your mind, I really feel like journaling is a really great way. If you don't want to journal by hand, you can do it like on your phone, on your computer, in a notepad. And like I said before, there's no real objective on what the goal is when you're journaling. If you need prompts, there are definitely prompts online, but what I like to do is kind of just like brain dump style. I write about what I did that day, how I felt, things I noticed, and it's also just nice because I like to revisit my journals years later and just get a glimpse of like, what was I doing and what was I feeling a couple years ago, And it's nice to still have that connection with yourself from the past, because I mean, you're only getting older every day, right? So having something tangible to look at as a reminder of the you that you've already met but are no longer there as is quite the nice thing and neat thing, I feel. Other things like, listening to music, dancing, hanging out with friends. I think one thing that might be a little bit more difficult for some people would be to seek out counseling or therapy, or, have those conversations with themselves in their mind, especially if you're doing it on your own, because sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. And it's a little harder to dig deeper into things if you're not sure like what sort of questioning or feedback loops you should be engaging in order to get to a point of clarity on some certain things in life, if that makes sense. And that is just practice. I feel like that, like anything else in life, is just practice, and the more you do it, the better you get, just like public speaking. I used to be very shy speaking. When I first started working at a sushi kiosk, I could barely say hello to customers because I was so scared. And presentations in schools, I definitely had a moment where I like blacked out once, and I just like paused and I got so nervous. I looked around and I looked at my teacher, and he was like, "It's okay." So I just took a breath, and I was like, I was so embarrassed, I was so nervous, but I still went on with it. And now, I mean, if you guys are new here and you're listening to me talk, you're probably like, wow, you sound so natural when you speak. Thank you. One of it is practice. And just like talking, talk to yourself, talk to people, have these conversations with yourself. I know it sounds crazy and weird, but it's like the best way to really learn how to find your voice, know how to put your thoughts and feelings into words. And I feel like once you really get a good rhythm of that, you just feel so much more confident, because now you could stick up for yourself. Now you could tell people exactly how you feel. Now you're not going to be vague. You're going to show up with clarity, not for others, but also for yourself. And that is just such a great thing, because sometimes it's one thing to be answering to people and leaving them confused. It's another to leave yourself confused. You know what I mean? And it goes to the saying, you can only meet people as deep as they have reached themselves, So that is my final thought that I want to share with you guys, I think. I do hope that you guys are enjoying this. I saw really positive reaction to the other video, so I thought what better way to keep that momentum going than to maybe focus on things that I think I could share. I know it is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I am a woman, but mental health is something that we all experience, regardless of gender or what you identify as. And the tools given are pretty much applicable more or less to people in terms of like how to go about it. Now there is nuances based on like cultural standards, and if you're a person of color, trauma is associated to it, to which I would say you deserve the help that you need on that. And I wouldn't be the best person to give much more advice on that, but in terms of like the baby step foundation, where to start, I think I can give pretty good advice on that. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Don't forget to give this video a like, comment, thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. We do have a Discord, so for those of you who want to engage in a cozy community, we have a community for Pokemon Sleep, Pokemon Pocket, and then we have like other general channels where you can literally talk about anything, share recipes, show pet photos, food photos, talk about anime, manga, music, like anything. And then if you feel like there's nothing there that you can engage in, like definitely feel free to leave a message and be like, hey, can you create this this channel on your Discord? I had many people request that, and I obviously deliver, because it is your community as well as my community. So yeah, I also will be streaming Pokemon ZA today. So sorry for those of you guys who were looking forward to it yesterday, but today 5 p.m. EST, we are going to continue the game, and I hope to see you guys there. I will be streaming on Twitch, multi-streaming, Twitch, and on YouTube. So I'll see you guys later. Take care, good luck, and have fun. Bye.